All right, let's dive into something creepy tonight.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
going deep
That sounds good.
into Creepshow 2,
Okay.
1987.
All right.
This one is a sequel to the horror anthology classic,
Yeah.
E.G. Creepshow.
Yep.
And this one is directed by George A. Romero.
The Godfather of Zombie Slicks.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
With stories by the one and only
Stephen King.
Yes.
You know, we're in for a treat with that combination.
I think maybe a trick or treat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what do you find so fascinating about these types of movies?
Well, for me, I think it's really how they capture, especially coming from Romero and King, that classic EC Comics vibe.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's like you're flipping through an old horror comic book,
Yeah.
and each story is like a bite-sized chunk of terror.
Yeah. And Creepshow 2 really leans into that aesthetic.
It does.
Even if some of the critics didn't love it as much as the first one,
Yeah.
there's still something there.
Definitely still has its charms.
Yeah. And it's perfect for our deep dive because we can bounce around
Oh, yeah.
between all these different scenarios and horror stories.
We got vengeful wooden Indians.
We've got a lake monster.
A relentless hitchhiker.
It really is like a buffet of horror.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about the wraparound story.
Oh, yeah.
We've got little Billy, who is our like horror enthusiast.
Yeah.
He's reading his Creepshow comic book.
Right.
And the creep himself,
Oh, yeah.
who was played by Tom Savini.
Special effects wizard.
Yeah, he pops out to guide us through.
Yes.
I love those animated segments.
Me too.
Like when Billy's running into those bullies.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the flesh-eating Venus flytrap.
Oh, yeah.
Pure comic book energy.
Absolutely.
Just like little palate cleansers in between the
yeah.
horror.
Little horror palette cleansers.
So you ready to dig into our first story?
Yeah, let's do it.
Old Chief Woodenhead.
Okay.
This one takes us to the Arizona desert
All right.
for a Western revenge story,
Classic.
but with a supernatural twist.
Ooh, I like it.
This one gives me Tales from the Crypt vibes.
It does.
But with that like signature gritty realism that Romero always brings.
Yes.
We've got this kindly old couple
Yeah. The spruces.
running their general store in this like dying town.
Yeah. It's like the last stop before nowhere.
Yeah, and who do they cast?
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
George Kennedy and Dorothy Lamour.
That's not who I was expecting.
Talk about a casting choice you don't expect in a horror film.
It's like they wandered in from a totally different movie.
But it works.
Totally.
It adds this like layer of melancholic nostalgia to it.
Yes, and they get robbed by these like real lowlifes.
Oh, yeah.
And things take a turn.
For the worst.
Enter Old Chief Woodenhead,
Yes.
the cigar store Indian.
I love this.
This is where the stop-motion animation comes in.
It's both charming and unsettling at the same time.
Totally.
You know, it's not real.
Yeah.
But the way he moves,
It's so creepy.
all jerky and unnatural.
It's effective.
Oh, super effective. It makes
Yeah.
it so much creepier.
Yeah, it just gives it this eerie, otherworldly feel. It does.
And let's be real, the way that Old Chief takes out these thugs,
brutal.
brutal.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a slasher film meets a classic Western showdown.
He does not mess around.
No, he doesn't.
Not at all.
So did that level of violence surprise you at all?
That's a good question because I do think this is where it diverges a bit from the first film.
Okay.
The first one had a little more of that whimsical, almost campy humor,
Right.
but this one has a darkness to it,
Yeah.
a willingness to go there with the gore
Yes.
that sets it apart.
It does for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, on to our next one.
Let's do it.
The Raft.
Okay.
This is the definition of wrong place, wrong time horror.
So true.
We've got 4 college kids
A secluded lake.
and a giant man-eating blob.
What could go wrong?
This one is pure claustrophobic tension.
Yeah, you got the isolation of the lake,
Yeah.
the limited space of the raft,
Yeah.
and then this like shapeless primordial creature.
That just oozes menace.
It's primal fear at its finest.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
And let's talk about that blob. Oh, yeah.
Those practical effects,
Still so effective.
even all these decades later,
They really are.
CGI just wouldn't have the same impact.
You're so right.
The way that it moves and engulfs.
It was a waking nightmare.
Totally.
I mean-
There's something about that visceral nature of practical effects.
CGI just lacks that.
Yes.
It feels real.
And that makes it so much more terrifying.
Exactly.
And the way they build that suspense,
Oh, yeah.
you just know something bad's going to happen.
You just don't know when.
You're just waiting for the next attack.
Exactly.
And it's terrifying.
You've got the jock, the good girl, the class clown, the brainy one.
Yeah,
It's almost like they're archetypes.
they are.
But Romero gives them enough personality to
Yes.
make you care at least a little
Yeah.
when the blob starts picking them off.
Right. Like, nobody wants to see Deke get devoured.
Even if he is a jerk.
Even though, yeah, He is.
Yeah.
But that ending with Randy,
Oh, man.
thinking he's outsmarted the Blob.
Talk about a false sense of security.
It's like,
Yeah.
you think he's made it.
And bam.
Blob wins.
Blob gets him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nature can be unforgiving.
Yeah, it really can be.
Speaking of unforgiving,
Oh, yeah.
the Hitchhiker.
Okay.
This one takes a totally different approach.
It does.
It's less about, like, monstrous creatures.
Right.
And more about the monster within.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This one gets under your skin.
In a different way.
A different way. We got Annie, our protagonist.
Yeah.
She's on the run after a hit and run.
Uh-oh.
And she can't shake this creepy hitchhiker
Oh, no.
that she just keeps encountering.
Right.
Like the classic guilty conscience trope.
Yeah, it is.
But, you know.
It's Stephen King.
Yeah.
He elevates it with this, like, almost surreal,
Yes.
darkly comedic tone.
Yes.
Every time she thinks she's gotten rid of him.
He pops up again.
He pops up again looking worse and worse.
And those special effects.
Oh, yeah.
The way that they show the hitchhiker getting mangled.
Each time.
Each time. Yeah.
It's both horrifying and hilarious.
Yes, you're like cringing, but you're laughing at the same time.
Yeah, you can't help but chuckle.
At the absurdity.
Yeah.
And that blend of humor and horror.
Yeah.
It's what Stephen King does so well.
It acts like his signature.
And that ending
The ending.
is the hitchhiker a ghost.
I don't know.
A figment of her imagination.
It's just her guilt.
It's so unsettling.
Yeah, we never really know for sure.
And let's not forget
Oh, yeah.
that her husband,
Right.
who witnessed the hit and run,
Yeah.
was probably on his way to confront her.
When she died.
Oh.
Yeah, talk about adding another layer of messed up irony.
Karma is a beast.
It really is.
So we've got these three wildly different horror tales.
Yeah, we do.
But how do they all tie together?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what's the theme of Creepshow 2?
Yeah. Well, I think at its core, it's about consequences.
Okay.
Whether it's the thieves in Old Chief Woodenhead facing that supernatural retribution,
Right.
or the kids on the raft succumbing to nature's wrath,
Yeah.
or Annie being haunted by her guilt.
Right.
It's all about the price we pay
Mm.
for our actions, both good and bad.
So it's kind of like a morality play
Yeah.
disguised as a horror anthology,
It is.
which is a great way to deliver a lesson.
Oh, yeah.
It sticks with you.
Much more so.
Way more than a lecture.
Yeah.
What about the role of fate, though?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because that plays a big part
It does.
in each of these stories.
Yeah, they're often caught in situations
Yeah.
beyond their control,
Yeah.
victims of circumstance as much as their own choices.
Right. So it's a reminder that life can be unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
Even when we think we're in control,
Right.
we're really just along for the ride.
Exactly.
And who better to take us on that ride?
Than George Romero and Stephen King.
Yeah,
They're the masters
they are.
of taking those everyday fears and anxieties,
Yeah.
amplifying them.
He's shining a light on them.
Yeah, even if it makes us squirm.
Okay. Time to get real.
I-
How does Creepshow 2 stack up against the original?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Be honest.
I don't think it reaches the same heights.
Okay.
The first one had this raw energy.
Right.
It had a more cohesive feel
Yeah.
and a slightly more refined sense of humor.
Okay.
But Creepshow 2 still delivers on the scares
It does.
and the fun,
Yeah.
even if it's a bit rougher around the edges.
Yeah, it's like the scrappy little brother
Yeah.
trying to live up to the legacy of the older sibling.
It is.
It may not be as polished,
Right.
but it's got heart
It does.
and a lot of guts.
A lot of guts.
Those practical effects alone deserve a standing ovation.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
They're a testament to
Yeah.
the ingenuity and the craftsmanship
Yes.
of a bygone era of filmmaking.
Yes, they really are.
And, you know, for all its flaws,
Yeah.
Creepshow 2 has become a cult classic
It has.
in its own right.
For sure.
And it has a lot of dedicated fans who
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Its quirky charm and its over-the-top gore.
For anyone who grew up watching those horror anthologies,
Well, yeah,
it's like a nostalgia trip.
it is.
You get to revisit that EC Comics vibe.
Those choosy practical effects.
Yeah, and those stories that make you laugh and scream in equal measure.
It's a good time. Yeah. It's a reminder of a time when horror wasn't afraid to be fun.
Yeah.
It didn't always take itself so seriously.
Yeah, and sometimes that's exactly what you need. It's a
Different.
good old-fashioned horror romp
Yeah.
that you don't have to overthink.
Just sit back and
Yeah.
enjoy the scares. Maybe
Right.
have a few laughs along the way.
It's like a roller coaster ride through a haunted house.
Yes.
You know, you're going to get scared,
Yeah.
but you're there for the thrill.
Yeah.
And speaking of thrills and chills,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about that blob for a second.
Okay.
If you were trapped on that raft,
Fuck, man.
what would your survival strategy be?
That's a great question.
because those college kids did not have a good plan.
No, they did not. I think my first instinct would be to try and assess the blob's weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like, does it have any,
yeah.
can we harm it with fire or cold?
Yeah, does anything affect it?
Yeah.
You got to figure out its limitations if it even has any.
Right.
Maybe try and create a barrier.
Yeah, buy yourself some time.
Yeah.
But that blob seems pretty relentless.
And it can like seep through anything, cracks and crevices.
Yeah, you'd have to be constantly vigilant.
Oh, yeah. Always thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe distract it.
Oh,
Lure it to one side of the raft.
okay.
And then you make a break for the shore.
That's a good idea.
Maybe use some of the stuff on the raft as a decoy.
As a distraction.
Yeah, create a diversion.
Yeah.
But then that swim to shore,
I know.
knowing that thing is lurking in the water.
Oh, it'd be terrible.
Stuff of nightmares.
It is.
The raft just taps into that primal fear
Yeah.
of the unknown.
Yeah, the thing's lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Just waiting to drag us down.
So to sum it all up,
Okay.
Creepshow 2
Yeah.
may not be a masterpiece,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
It is.
It's gory.
It is.
And it's often hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a great tribute to those old horror comics.
Oh, yeah.
And the practical effects.
Absolutely.
It really embraces those B-movie roots
It does.
and delivers on the scares,
Yeah.
the laughs.
And then the creepy crawlies.
If you're looking for a thought-provoking existential horror film,
Yeah.
this might not be the one.
No.
But if you want a nostalgic, over-the-top horror romp,
with some dark humor.
Creepshow 2 is worth checking out.
It is.
And if you have seen it,
Yeah.
let us know what you thought.
What was your favorite story?
What scared you the most?
And most importantly,
What would your blob survival strategy be?
let us know in the comments.
We love hearing from you guys.
We do.
And your comments always make these deep dives so much better.
They really do.
And if you enjoyed tonight's creepy journey, don't forget to like and subscribe
For more deep dives.
into the worlds of film
And
and all things pop culture.
until next time.
Keep watching those horror movies.
Keep those lights on.
And remember,
Sometimes the scariest monsters
are the ones we create ourselves.